everybody. My name is Catherine Gronauer. Thank you so much for having me. I'm originally from Florida in the United States, as we mentioned, so I'm going to give a presentation to you about Florida and the details of Florida. I have to admit, when I created this presentation, I became very homesick because there are a lot of very nice things about Florida that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. So it was nice a reminder to go through each detail. So here's my first question for you. Sometimes I meet people in Japan who have heard of Florida, but they don't know where it is in America. So I have two pieces of clues to give you. One is that it's very hot. So if it's hot, that means it's farther south, close to the equator. And the second clue is that there's a lot of beach. So anybody who lives in Florida has very easy access to a beach. So this is Florida right here. It's surrounded by water and it's on the south part of America. A couple things about the climate. Florida is very hot. So as a Floridian, I really don't like cold weather. It's very challenging to go anywhere with seasons. It's very cold outside. My skin is so dry, actually. So growing up in Florida, it's very sunny all the time. Again, there's beautiful beaches. There's lots of palm trees, as you can see. The negative thing about the weather in Florida is that there are a lot of hurricanes. So we have, just like in Japan, they have typhoon season, we also have hurricane season in Florida. So if you are ever going to travel to Florida, do not go in maybe August or September, because it'll be very hot and rainy. But any other time during the year, it's absolutely gorgeous. My birthday is in September, so every year since I was little, I have been boarding up the house for the hurricane season outside. So I wish I could celebrate my birthday during another time during the year, but again, I really recommend any time other than the summertime to go there. The cities in Florida, as I mentioned earlier, are very different. So these are the specific cities that I'm going to be talking to you about. So starting in the north part of Florida all the way south, we'll go through Gainesville, then Orlando, Palm Beach. I'm from Palm Beach, so I'll talk about Palm Beach. Then we'll talk about the Everglades, Miami, and then also the Keys. So we're gonna start north and then go all the way down south. So the northern part of Florida is very popular for college students. There's a lot of really good universities in Florida. Actually, there's Florida State University and University of Florida. They're both in the same town up in the northern part. So if you're traveling closer to the northern part of Florida, you're going to see a lot of college towns and a lot of young people there. And other than that, there really isn't much else to do there, just mostly college town. Then we have Orlando. How many of you have heard of Orlando? Okay, great. So I think Orlando is one of the more well-known places within Florida, and for many different reasons. One reason is that it's the home of Disney World. How many of you like Disneyland? Anybody here likes Disneyland? Yeah. That's not as many hands as I thought I would see. But yes, we have Disney World, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And we also have Universal Studios, so it's a very well-known place for theme parks. Another popular thing about Orlando is retirement areas. So a lot of people in America, when they're older and retired, they want to go someplace warm. And Florida has beautiful weather and very nice warm areas and warm climate. So there's a lot of these very nice retirement communities. So whenever I'm in another part of America and I say, hi, I'm from Florida, usually people say, oh, my grandma is down in Florida, or my grandpa's in Florida. So a lot of grandparents are living in Florida from other states. Yeah, and this is just a little bit of what it looks like. Down here, this is a photo of a convention center. Orlando is also well known for a place of business. So a lot of people who are traveling for work, they might go down to Florida to these convention centers where they have lots of businesses gather in big buildings. So this is another reason to go to Florida or to host a business down in Florida. Okay, so now I want to tell you about Palm Beach. So Orlando is a little bit north, now we're coming down to the east part here, the star that you see here. So Palm Beach is actually an island right off the coast of Florida. And this is an area where a lot of wealthy people like to live. This is where Trump lives. He has the Mar-a-Lago home. There's also people like Tony Robbins, maybe you've heard of Tony Robbins. But some celebrities or wealthy people like to live on the island right off of Palm Beach. This particular street here is called Worth Avenue. It's kind of like the Florida equivalent of a Beverly Hills Rodeo Drive. So there's a lot of really nice shops here. It's like the equivalent maybe of Omotesando Dori or something like that. So this is very nice to visit. I'm from Palm Beach, but I'm from the mainland Palm Beach. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the culture in Palm Beach later, but this is a really nice thing to see in Florida. A little bit south of Palm Beach, in the center area of Florida, is an area called the Everglades. The Everglades is basically swampland. So it's a lot of dark, murky water and also alligators. I don't know why people like to see the Everglades. I think if you really like wildlife, then it's a good place to check out. Personally, my home is on a golf course, and we have a lake outside of the golf course, and sometimes I see an alligator come out of the lake and sunbathe. So they're getting some sun and they lay there and they go back in the water. So Florida does have a lot of alligators. So be careful if you're near the water. Yeah, and if you want to see more alligators, you can go to the Everglades in the center part of Florida. Another part farther south, which is along the east coast, is an area called Miami. I'm sure many of you have heard of Miami. Great. Okay, great. So Miami is very interesting because there's a very big Latin population, a lot of Latinos, a lot of Latinas. And there's also a lot of Cuban culture as well. So a lot of Cuban food, Puerto Ricans who are in there, Brazilians are there as well. So again, lots of Spanish speakers, and also really, really great beaches. So it's very interesting because as we're going from the north part of Florida down south, we're seeing that the culture is changing in each location. So one was a theme park with older people for retirement homes, and now we have Miami, which is a party area with a lot of Latin community. Miami is also really well known for the nightlife. So if you want to go out and have some really exciting nightlife, I recommend going there. One thing I wanted to mention later would be about the fashion. People like to wear very form-fitted clothes, very bright colors, very bright earrings, very high heels. So yeah, it's just an exciting place to go to listen to good music and to have a fun time. And the very southern tip of Florida, this is an area called the Keys. If you really like things like marine biology, so studying any of the water animals, I really recommend going to the Keys. This is an area where people live who really like to go boating. So a lot of the people in that area might own boats, and then they go on the water and they go fishing. They look at the wildlife. So this is a very nice, relaxing part of Florida, and it's people spend a lot of time on the water down there. Okay, so we finished talking about the cities in Florida, so now you can see how different it is from the north to the south. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the architecture. So you're going to see a lot of bright colored buildings. So some of the neighborhoods are either completely all the same, so the neighborhoods are very consistent with how they look, or you might find very bright buildings. Since Florida is a very bright, sunny place, they also like bright buildings as well, I guess. My father is an architect, and apparently there's a lot of codes and regulations around building colors, and these colors are okay. This is okay. Yeah. The other thing is in Florida is you can see this is the back of a house. This is a random photo I found online. It's on my own home. But a lot of people have pools at their house. We have a pool. Even if you live in an apartment building, you'll probably have a pool that's part of the apartment. So no matter what your economic range is and no matter where you live, you're probably going to have a pool that's part of your home. So as you can see, I put this neighborhood here. You can see these are all pools. The blue parts are pools around there. So it's very common. I like to say when I came to Japan, a lot of Japanese homes, they always have a bath. You can have the tiniest apartment, but you have a bath. In Florida, you could have the smallest home, but you have a pool. So that's just our culture now.